Donald Trump, this is on you. This election disaster, it is totally on you. Any Republican who still thinks that Donald Trump can win the next election, they've got rocks in their head. They're blind because Donald Trump, you can see it, has just cost the Republicans the victory they should have had in these midterm elections. Now, everyone knew that this should have been a Republican triumph. I mean, how could the Republicans lose with a president who seems half senile, with real wages falling, with inflation soaring, with millions of illegal immigrants streaming across the Mexican border? How could the Republicans not win with that winning hand? Well, the answer is Donald Trump. In how many ways did Trump kill the Republicans in this election? In how many ways did he leave them struggling, even to win the House of Reps, let alone the Senate? Now, his first big mistake. Donald Trump made himself the centre of this election. Rookie error, or should I say a megalomaniac's error. Sitting presidents, they almost always lose midterm elections because suddenly it's all about them. You don't have to choose between this guy and that guy in the federal level. It's about the president. And most people don't like exactly all they see. Now, particularly this time, if it had just been about Biden, if it was just Biden front and square, it'd be a sitting duck. I mean, you saw in the campaign how the Democrat candidates kept away from him. He is not a popular guy. Look at the polls. He's not popular. But there comes Mr. Ego. Me, Donald Trump. And he made the election about him instead. And the Democrats pounced. Of course they did. Donald Trump opened the door. They walked right in. He gave them an opportunity. They grabbed it. Biden and the rest of them, they turned this election into a vote against Donald Trump. A vote against the monster, a vote against fascism, a vote to save American democracy. Whatever the code words were, it was all about Trump.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Now, you may think, that's ridiculous, that's hysterical, fascism, it's completely over the top. I thought so too. Of course it is. Of course it is. But the point is that it worked. Because we were talking about Donald Trump, we weren't talking about Joe Biden. And some people, of course, let's face it, they really do think Trump is a threat. And, they got off their couches and went and voted. Okay. But I have to say, if Donald Trump had not been involved in this election and hadn't put his own candidates up there in this election, do you think the Democrats would have been able to run that stuff? Not at all. No, Trump handed them their big election push. And Trump kept the attention on himself all through this period by, doing stupid things, stupid, selfish things, like refusing to return the secret documents he'd taken home with him from the White House. Now, again, I'm on his side in one sense, he might have been entitled to keep them. Maybe it was a setup, maybe all that. But why have the argument? Why not? Oh, you want them back? Here they are. Bang, end of story. Why put his ego above the Republicans and their need to win this election? Again, totally selfish. And then the big one. The candidates that Trump picked to run for the Republicans in key seats, in some cases virtually forcing them on the party with his support and helping them with fundraising. And so many of them chosen not for their outstanding skills and their deep bonds to the local community and all that kind of stuff. No, chosen for being yes men, friends, mates, people Trump could count on to repeat his crazy claims that he didn't really lose the last election. He was robbed. And again, making the election all about him. and again making the party look stuck in the past, fighting old battles, and to be honest, making them look a bit nutty. And these guys, the ones that he picked for the crucial seats, the must-win ones, they lost or are behind in seats that the Republicans had to win the Senate. For instance, Trump picked Herschel Walker for Georgia, who sold himself as Mr. Family Values, dead set against abortion, no abortion, any circumstances. Well, a great judge of character is Donald Trump. Walker turned out to have girlfriends and ex-lovers behind almost every couch, with one saying he'd even paid for her to have an abortion. And now, wow, big surprise. The Republicans could even lose Georgia now. I mean, there's a runoff, but Walker was behind in the vote. What a surprise not. Or take Pennsylvania. The Republicans in Pennsylvania couldn't even beat a Democrat there who had obvious brain damage from a stroke and could barely string a sentence together. And the Republicans lost because Trump ran against this guy, someone very unpopular from another state even, a blow-in, Mehmet Oz.
It's time to start talking about greatness for our country again. That starts with nominating my friend, Dr. Mehmet Oz. He's a great man. Dr. Oz, I've known him a long time.
He's a great friend. And that's, of course, why to run in Pennsylvania, friend of Trump. What other qualification do you need? Except Trump is now moaning, since Dr. Oz lost, moaning that it's all his wife's fault, reportedly, not her best decision. It's her fault, never Donald's, because when is it ever Donald Trump's fault? Now, I'm angry, I know, but, you know, don't be fooled by it, because I have long said that Donald Trump did do some great things as president, great things. His foreign policies, very good, very good. Look at the unemployment rate under him. Look at the economy under him. I've got that. But there was always that dark side. The selfishness, not taking blame, no self-discipline, throwing people under a bus, bad judge of character, the chaos in the hirings and firings at some stages, some of the people. What happened to the mooch? I mean, look at him. I mean, he was lucky he got some good people in the end, you know, good people. Mike Pompeo, Mike Pence was always there. There were some good people, but honestly, some of his hirings. But anyway, Rudy Giuliani at the end, what about him? The good outweighed that bad until the end, when Trump just couldn't handle being beaten and claimed he was robbed, basically went nuts. Now, don't blame him necessarily, not personally, it's not like he ordered them or wanted them to do it. I don't blame him for the January 6th rabble that invaded Congress. But again, perfect opportunity for the Democrats. They did blame him. They still blame him. And the stink of that disgrace still hangs over him. And what's he done to actually get rid of that? Flat nothing. He still keeps playing that I was robbed violin. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's always about him. About, you know, what's been done to him and him and him. How about talking about what he will do for the people? Well, I think he's now had his turn. He has now had his turn. And it is time to make way for the Republican who did, on that bleak night, record the most amazing win. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who absolutely smashed it, romped home, huge margin, in a state that, you know, was always a toss-up, Democrat, Republican. Now the Republicans own it. And Ron DeSantis had a magnificent victory because he makes his battles not about him, but about the people he serves. He makes it about ideals that appeal to people, that are factors in our own lives, parental control over your child's education, things like that. And he is a problem fixer, not a problem maker. And if you think, oh, please, come on, one last chance for Trump. You know, they gave him a rough time. And you're right, they did give him a rough time. The persecution that he underwent from the Democrats on that ridiculous, you know, he was a Russian agent kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely correct. But he lost the last election. He lost this election. Don't think he might win the next election. Do you really want him to lose 3 on a trot for the Republicans? You think of this. Think of this. This is the man who the day before these midterm elections again made out that this was really a referendum about him. The guy couldn't step out of the way, couldn't step out of the limelight, couldn't let it go to other people instead. It was about him. And his calculation was that he would cruise from this great Republican victory, this great Republican tide in the midterm elections that would carry him on like a surfer to next Tuesday, to his magnificent announcement that he would be running again as president.
I'm going to be making a very big announcement on Tuesday, November 15th at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida.
Well, there's no more cheers now. Now his aides are telling him, whoops, hang on there, partner. This election didn't go that well. Not a great platform after all. Delay that call. And instead it's sleepy Joe Biden, a pathetic president whose own party thought was finished. He's the one now thinking, hey, maybe I can run again.
My intention is that I run again.
What has Donald Trump done? It was Trump who made the party seem half crazy, like a threat to democracy. It was him that did all that. It was him that chose dud candidates. It was him that made the election all about him and not Joe Biden. It was him, Donald Trump, that turned this Republican wave into barely a ripple. That's all Donald Trump's own work. And enough. It's over. Is this party really going to let him lead the Republicans to another defeat? They've now got to tell Trump what is happily told so many people before.
You're fired.